Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Old School Q&A. I'm your host today, Mod Sarnie. I'm joined by the ever wonderful mods, Lenny.
Hello.
Bruno.
Hey.
Tide.
Hello there.
And Sova.
Hello there.
Hello. All right, how's everyone doing today? How's your week been? Should we start with you, Bruno?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's been a pretty good week. We saw the release of the Clue Helper, which is why we're all here today. And yeah, generally pretty good. How's yours?
Yeah, it's been all right. It's been nice seeing the reaction to the helper and lots of stuff working behind the scenes on TOA. So I won't say any more than that. But yeah, it's good stuff. Tide, how you doing?
Been pretty good. Working on Clue Scrolls, fixing some stuff, getting stuff done before the release. It's all been good.
Nicely done. And Sova, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Been working hard on the Clue Helper this week.
Good stuff. And finally, Lenny, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. It's been, keeping busy with the release as well, but probably a little less so than the others actually this time round. I'm just really excited to see it out and see everyone, getting hands on and trying it out.
Indeed. If you haven't tried it out yet, you really should, guys. It's a fantastic update. So yeah, if you haven't clocked on already, we're definitely going to be talking about the Clue Scroll Helper and just other bits and pieces going forward into the future of the Steam and mobile client. But before we get into that, let's go through some announcements quickly. So exclamation mark game update. Get ready to clue to your heart's content with the latest update to our Steam and mobile clients, the Clue Scroll Helper. You can find out everything that came alongside that update with that command. Exclamation mark new mod. You can check out our newest Jmod on Twitter, Mod Sova, and we will get back to you in a second with some new Jmod questions. Exclamation mark poll. We have reworked the Masori Armour following your feedback, and I'm happy to announce that Concept B has won the poll by 63.9%. So yeah, quite a landslide. And finally, exclamation mark Gazette. The latest edition of the Gillinor Gazette is out. You can have some more teasers for Tombs of a Mascot, an update on quest speedrunning, and more. And for reference, here are the concept images for you all, just in case you didn't catch it in yesterday's game update news post. Well, Friday's game update news post versus Wednesday's. So B is the one that has been chosen. What do you guys think?
I love it. I mean, yeah, I was a big fan of the original design myself. Obviously, a bit of a contentious one going around certain people, but I've loved seeing the progress on it as well, seeing the new ideas that have come around from the community and that we've sort of followed up with, and I'm really happy with B, yeah.
I voted A, but I'm used to losing votes.
I think they both look great, so either one's great for me. But I do like A's helmet a lot.
I'm all the opposite, honestly. I'm not a huge fan of the A's helmet. It looks too much like an armor helm. Even though I know people are asking for it to look like armor, I just don't think it needs to look like Armadale when it has nothing to do with Armadale, since it's in the desert. But yeah, hopefully this will make more people happy.
So what you're saying is we need a C option with B's helmet on A's body.
Oh no.
Don't start that, Sova. Don't start it. Not now. Okay. The poll results are in. But yeah, I liked all three of them, to be honest. But yeah, I feel like B's a definitely worthy contender for a very, very exciting reward for TOA. So cool. With that, Mod Sova, let's shoot over to you for a second and get some new Jmod questions in, because I think last time you didn't get asked these, did you?
No, I was on for a few minutes and quickly booted out the door.
Well, you've got plenty of time for you today. So first of all, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do on the team, and who you are?
Alright, I am Mod Sova, obviously. I'm a content developer. I'm actually not a new mod. I've been around for a while. I joined Old School the middle of last year, and before that I worked on RuneScape for a number of years. So I'm probably the oldest new Jmod that's come along to a new Jmod introduction.
Awesome stuff. And what's your role? What's the what's some of the things you've worked on in terms of RuneScape and Old School?
Yep, so on Old School, when I first moved over, I was bouncing around a lot, helping out the operators. I worked on some PvP changes before Christmas, but I joined the gang, which is this lovely collection of people here, just around Christmas, and we're mainly focusing on the C++ client for mobile and Steam.
Awesome stuff. And what's your experience with Old School been?
So I'm an Old School baby. I played a lot more RuneScape 3, but secretly, or not so secretly, I always kind of preferred Old School. Sorry to all of the RuneScape Jmods that I complained in the kitchen to that about.
I'm sure the players at least will be happy to hear that you're secretly Old School at heart, which is good. In terms of Old School content then, what would you say your most favourite thing, and what is your least favourite thing about the game?
So I guess my favourite thing is like very much from a designery perspective, because I make games. It's hard to like play games in the same way when you make them, even if it's not a game that you're working on. So like the thing that I like the most is probably the horizontal kind of shape of RuneScape and Old School. So like something new comes out and it's not going to obsolete basically like 90% of the game. You're usually going to have like something you were doing, and maybe you take a break for a couple of years and then come back, and like you're still kind of in a good position if you were in a good position when you left. You don't come along and go, oh god, everything's changed, what's going on, I have to get new everything and learn new things. And my cop-out answer for my least favorite thing is the logout timer.
Okay, interesting. Any reason?
Because most of the time I'm AFKing and doing other things and working and playing, and every time it's just like, oh, I'm locked out.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the chat is definitely relating. Okay, and in terms of adding and removing content, what would be one thing you would add to the game without a poll, and what would be one thing you'd remove without a poll?
For something that I would add, consequences be damned, without having to ask people whether they're okay with it, is probably like reimagined dungeoneering, because I really like roguelikes and ARPGs and lots of procedurally generated games with lots of like cool dungeons and content you can go and do a lot. And I think we're in a position now where we can do a lot more with Old School than RuneScape did when they added dungeoneering in 2010. There are a lot of cool things. And for removing the specifics of it, I'm not 100% clear on, but one thing that I know that I would like to change if I had ultimate power is how off-style combat equipment penalizes you. So you can't wear ranged armor and a mage weapon, right? I would just do away with that, but I know that's never going to happen though.
Okay, very interesting. I mean, I'm a big fan of dungeoneering in general, but yeah, reimagine for Old School would be amazing. And we have a final question from one of the players. Do you recall the tallest person you've ever met?
I think this is from Joe Tager. Who are you, Joe Tager, and what are you hiding? Do you know me? I think the tallest person that I've ever met is someone that I went to university with. He was like 7 foot tall. But luckily, you know, like when you're working on computers, we were doing computer science together. You're sitting down most of the time. So I didn't have a sore neck from having to look up and talk to him 24/7. I did have a sore back from being in the shrimp position instead at my desk all day instead.
It'd be a bit different if there was standing desks at your in your computer science course. Like, awesome though. Well, yeah, I'm glad we've been able to give you a proper welcome, Mod Sova. So yeah, if you want to check out more of Mod Sova, !new mod, you can check out their Twitter, and yeah, say hello. Be nice, people. Be nice.
Well,
so
I haven't
I think
tweeted in so long.
that's right. Maybe the first after a few today would be good. With that, then I'm going to hand over to the lovely team here for a little demo for the clue scroll helper, and then we'll come back and take you through some of the Q&A. So, Lenny, I'm guessing we're handing over to you to start.
Sure. So, hopefully people will be sort of broadly aware by now, but if you weren't already, new in the game, we have a whole range of new settings for a clue scroll helper. You can find in our activity section on the C++ client, which is currently available on Steam and Android and iOS. And there's a number of different settings here. One that kind of controls them all, but a bunch of sort of more granular little settings we can add in to show info boxes, showing clue text, showing overlays above entities, highlighting things, showing arrows in the world, marking things on the world map, and basically just offering sort of clue scroll solutions and directions in game in the same way as you'd find on third-party clients or on the Old School wiki. So I've got myself a number of clues here to sort of demonstrate what exactly we've got going on. I'm not actually sure off the top of my head what these clues all are, because this was set up for me by the lovely Mod Bruno, which you can probably guess in the chat box. So let's take a look. So first up, we've got an anagram clue, and in a way that's probably very familiar to most people. Up here in the left, top left corner of the screen, we've got a nice little info box to give us some information here. So it's going to tell us who to talk to and where to find them. You know, that is anagramming rug to turf or Gertrude. So the couple of other things that we've got, if we go into the world map, we'll find that there is a little arrow up here in the corner. In this case, annoyingly hidden behind the close button. But as we pan over, it'll point us towards Gertrude's house. We can go up there and find it is highlighted on the world map for us. I'm going to cheat a little bit and just teleport right over here. And we'll find that we've got an arrow on screen pointing us towards Gertrude, the highlights and the overlays as sort of told on in the settings to show us what we need to do, which is go and talk to this NPC for the sake of our clue scroll. I'll go ahead and talk to Gertrude, who congratulates me on a well-done clue scroll, and we get our new clue. Once reading it, of course, we'll move on to the next clue, which is going to be at Flynn's Mace Shop. I'm not going to go through all of these different treasure trails because I'm just here to sort of do a little whistle-stop tour of the features available, so I will instead just move on to a different difficulty. So next up, we've got a clue in the lumberyard, this time dealing with a stash unit, which is going to tell us handily is filled in. Of course, if we had a stash unit that wasn't filled in, it would tell us, no, it's not there. And it will list out the equipment that we need to equip for this clue. So again, I will go ahead and make my way up to the sawmill. And over here, we've got our stash unit highlighted for us. And as I get the items and start equipping them, it will, hopefully you'll see, change color to tell us that we have them in the first place and strike them out as we equip them, as well as directing us to where we actually need to go on for the clue scroll itself. So this one here is an emote clue, and we are required to wave along the south fence. So if I go ahead and take a look at the emotes panel, we'll find that we've got the wave emote highlighted along with this nifty little clue scroll icon to point us in the right direction, let us know why it's highlighted, and just give us some direction for the scroll. And we'll find a lot of similar things. If I believe I've got a music clue in and among these.
I don't think so.
Oh no, okay, not a music clue. We'll ignore that one. But similarly to the emotes, would find, we go onto the music player, and it will jump us to the right place. Say we had to play on the shore for whatever reason, highlight that and a little icon to let us know that that is the track we need to play for Cecilia in Falador Park. So to showcase a little bit of the other stuff, again here we've got a map clue this time. It's going to tell us where the location is. It tells us a spade is required, which is handily striked out because of the spade that I have with me. We've got ourselves a cryptic clue, which is, again, a little bit cryptic, but it's going to give us the location and who to talk to. What other clues have we got here? Coordinate clue decodes the coordinate for us and lets us know which sort of combat encounter to prepare for. This can vary from clue to clue, where different difficulties might present you with a Saradomin or Zamrakian wizard, based on whether it's in the wilderness or not. Or this difficulty will give us either an Armadillion or Bandosian guard. And finally, another cryptic clue, this time going to talk to Jorl, or at least leading us to talk to Jorl in the first place, who I believe will give us a strange device, and then at this point, we'll go ahead and see what happens next. So it points us to Jorl in the first place, and he'll let us know that it is a strange device clue. I do already have one with me, but it kind of gives us a pointer to sort of, give us the information again in case we've forgotten how these clues actually work. And once I go ahead and start feeling the strange device, it will list out a huge range of locations that I might find the solution to be. If I go ahead and sort of teleport around the map a little bit to try and narrow it down, our list will get slowly cut down. We had 27 other possible locations at first, now 21. Let's keep going. Somewhere in between. We're down to 2 other possible locations. Let's try down at User Point. And suddenly we're on a nice little short list of locations, eliminating them based on the information we've got available to us at any time. So it's important to note that with these clues, we're still not quite offering just the immediate solution once you've got the clue scroll. We still want you to have to go around and actually explore and sort of narrow down to the point where you'll be able to work it out for yourself, rather than cutting out the entirety of the gameplay behind these clues. I believe that's kind of a good coverage of most of what's available here. Is there anything that I'm missing we should show off?
I think that's it.
Seems that
Maybe
There
go through
is,
the
you can right click on the info box and close it or dismiss your helper as well.
I can. Let's do that to close the demo.
maybe you could do the dig clue to go show them the gods.
Yes. Which?
Do you want where the hot and cold one is? It's the Necromancer Tower near the Tower of Life, and that'll bring the cabbage.
Am I solving 6 clues here? Are we doing
No, just go kill the cabbage guy. Easy.
All right. Where do you say?
Necromancy Tower, northeast of the Tower of Life, near Ardy. Yep.
Where exactly is the location?
Inside.
Oh lord. I will die.
Okay, no pressure, Lenny. No
The
pressure.
potato.
Oh,
Potato.
Bruno, you could have set the account up a little better for this here.
Listen, man. It's a skill problem. It's not a game problem. It's a skill problem. You're not even flicking the prayers. Come on.
Oh, he's
What
about
are
to
you
die.
taking for?
Use the
It's fine,
potato,
I've got
Lenny.
some great food.
Yeah, the best food. I feel like Bruno definitely set this up on purpose. Like, this was his plan all along.
Little
Never said
bit.
to kill Lenny.
It's fine. I see how
There
it
we
is.
go.
And what was the clue that Tide wanted to take a look at? The guards. Okay.
Do we also have a key
That's
clue as well?
that's a different clue. I think that's wait, is it? No, I'm wrong. Never mind. Yeah, ignore me.
At least I'm praying on time this time.
I was going to say he's ready this time, ready to go.
Pro PVMer.
Oh yeah. Couldn't ask for a better showcase of PVM on the live stream. Alright, that's 3 clues done. Any others we want to take a look at, or are we good to move on to the questions here?
I think we're good.
I think it's question time.
Awesome stuff. All right, just before we get into the questions, what was some of the biggest challenges you guys faced in creating the Clue Scroll helper?
So we actually made a completely new data type addition to Old School RuneScape's tech to cater to just how complicated clue scrolls are. And I think we've got 960 clues in the game, and that's not counting puzzle boxes or anything, that's just clues that we have solvers for, and each of those needed like I think 3 or 4 objects each, so we've made like a large amount of things in the game to make this work. So it is just like the volume of work and things to check is probably the most difficult thing about this.
Yeah, I think
Awesome.
by the time we got to the end of it, it totaled up to about, I want to say 800 clue scrolls in the set of data there. Maybe wrong on that.
960.
960. So yeah, it's no small job, just the data behind it, let alone any of the sort of system work that goes on to actually present it and process it.
And then checking it. So, all right, cool. Just before we get into the bulk of the questions, I thought it'd be good to address some of the issues we saw after the game update. So, we're aware, and thank you for your feedback, that some of the more prevalent issues are the iPad keyboard and mouse becoming a bit balked. There was some feedback on the tooltips and XP tips, which we've taken on board, and we're in discussion at the moment. And the haptic feedback when clicking on objects is gone for some players. So we are aware of those. I don't know if you guys want to just expand on any of those a little bit more.
Sure, yeah, so the words, it's been a long week. So the tooltips and a couple of issues that people have noticed around the sort of entity highlights on tapping anything in the game world, these are a couple of sort of very closely linked issues that we've got a hold of now and should be, touch wood, crossed in next week's update. There's a couple of things that I wouldn't want to speak so much to with regards to timelines, things like the keyboard and the haptic feedback are a little less uncertain in when exactly they might be addressed, but they're definitely on our radar and sort of under work.
As a little sidebar to the specifics, like one of the problems that we have on these kind of issues is that the client work that is involved in fixing these things can't be hot fixed. So there were some issues that did come up with the Clue Scroll helper, and we immediately fixed those because they are hot fixable. But then there's some other things that you have to run an entire reboot of everything, take the worlds down, and we have to measure like what's the demand for it, like the worlds to go down to like do this whole process to fix things, and we measure that against, okay, can something wait till the next release?
Yeah, there's always a bit of a looming sense of dread with these updates, in the knowledge that, like Sova says, any other update, a lot of the issues we might encounter, we can just kind of fix then and there. But these ones, we really do need to make that decision. Does it wait a week, or do we reboot the game for it? And unfortunately, just down to the way that the sort of game's infrastructure works, there's no other way around it. It comes down to one of those two options. And luckily, with the majority of the issues we encounter, we think the sort of preferable option is to wait a week rather than disrupting with another reboot.
Yeah, it might be a bit different if we didn't update weekly, but the benefit of us updating weekly means we have that time to balance out what we think would be worth waiting a little bit for. So apologies to anyone that has been affected by those issues, but yeah, we are aware of them, so don't worry. All right, on to the bulk of the questions then. First is like Clue Scroll Helper specifics. What was the reason behind the Clue Scroll Helper in the way, by adding the Clue Scroll Helper in the way that we did, and have there been any considerations to changing Clue Scrolls themselves?
Yeah, so I think one of the driving things behind it was we surveyed people in the open beta for Android on how they felt about everything about the client. One of the questions was, if you had to pick one, what is the worst aspect of the new Android open beta? And the leading answer was not enough features available. And there was a follow-up question of asking which features would you like to see added the most. The top one is ground items and the loot tracker, which we'll possibly be talking about soon. And the second one is the Clue Scroll Helper. So obviously, you've got third-party client options on desktop, but on mobile you don't have that. You've got the excruciating experience of having to like tab into your browser and search the wiki for something, which may or may not be useful. So a lot of people would find if they're doing stuff and they get a clue, but they're out and about and they're playing on mobile, they'll just leave the clue there because they don't want to do it on mobile. So that was the main driving factor. Obviously, we have like the same C++ client that works both on mobile and is the one on Steam, so it's free basically. It's there also.
Yeah, I think it's one thing on desktop when either through a third-party client or even just by having the wiki or whatever other fan site up alongside your game window, you can see the answers right there and sort of look things up as you're playing. But on mobile, it's a different experience where, like Sova says, you need to sort of actually swap out from the game to go into your web browser. You can't have it up side by side for the most part. I know that phones kind of do allow some sense of split screen nowadays, but it's not quite an ideal scenario to be looking up that information there with the game on the other half of the screen in the same way that it was on desktop.
And then also, you won't get logged out anymore on iOS because you don't have to switch app.
Yes.
Very true, Tide. Very true. Awesome, thank you guys. But speaking of answers, I know this has been something that I saw requested when we launched this on Wednesday, but are there any plans to add a puzzle box helper to the new Clue Scroll Helper?
So the short answer is no, there are no plans to add a puzzle box Sova. It's something that, personally, I think there's a pretty distinctive difference between, you get presented with a sort of repeatable question, more or less, and you're told the answer, you're told what something anagrams to or what locations and coordinates correlate to, and you still have to go around the gameplay yourself. You still have to, have the requirements, have whatever items to teleport there or walk there, whatever it may be. You have to go through the gameplay of still completing the treasure trail itself, even if we're telling you where it is that you need to go. Which is a little bit different to when you're presented with a sort of an on-screen puzzle and click by click, you'd be told exactly what to do. It kind of feels like it entirely bypasses that part of the gameplay. And I know there'd be some people who might argue that offering the solutions to Clue Scrolls does the same, which we don't think is necessarily quite true. Like I say, there's the value in just going around the game world and completing these treasure trails. It offers a nice little distraction and diversion from whatever else you might be doing. Whereas, yeah, these puzzle box solvers would just be bypassing it entirely.
Thank you for that, guys. The next question we have is how the inclusion of the clue helper inform the design of future clue puzzles. Will there be more puzzles that are not solvable by a helper plugin? Will the puzzle design remain mostly unchanged?
Yeah, I don't think we'd plan to change anything based on whether or not it works very well with the clue scroll helper. For example, we already have things that don't work like the exact way that you might want them to, like the hot colds, which don't tell you the exact spot to dig at, or the puzzle boxes and light boxes. So honestly, I don't imagine us changing the way we'd make these updates based on how it works with the display for the clue helper.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Bruno. And we
There
have a
was,
question next. Oh,
Sorry. There was a small conversation that we did have about how when we do add new clue scrolls, what do we do with the helper? Because there is obviously like a sense of discovery and value in solving it when it's completely new content and no one has the answer, so you can't just go up on the wiki and find it. I think that's the distinction that we've made. Like for the majority of the clues that we were okay with having the helper really guide you, they were like memory tests, or like, do you remember from the last time you did it, or do you remember how to open OSRS.wiki and search for the clue? So we talked about, say, like having a lag time on if any new content brings new clues into the game, they'd be expected to be added to the clue scroll helper, but with some kind of delay. So there is like a protected amount of time where it is still an actual riddle, an actual mystery, but obviously after a week or so that answer is going to be on the wiki, or I don't know, maybe longer. After some amount of time the answers are going to be on the wiki and they're going to be on third-party clients, so that's probably the safe enough time for them to go into the C++ client as well.
Well, thank you for that, Sova. We have a question next for Bruno specifically. What was it like QA in this work, and are there any interesting bugs that you found?
It was very interesting. So I joined the project only about 3 months ago for that. So I'd say we were probably past halfway. So I wasn't here from the start since I was working on the operators, which work with like the week-to-week type stuff, like the game updates. Any fun bugs? Not really, because this is more of like a check the clue, check the display. Is the display saying what the clue is saying as well and giving you the answer? So it's not really anything funny there or anything like that. But it was quite a bit of a difference since I'm more used to testing like actual new things in the game, whereas this is more like checking the system itself or the game. But yeah, it was fun.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer that check-in in-game systems or the like content itself?
I'd say I prefer the content itself, because if I'm working on new content, then I've never seen this new content. Whereas if I'm testing out 15-year-old clues, I might have already gotten part of them on my own account. So, you know, it's a different type of exploration compared to, like, say, testing a new raid, which has been really fun.
Hey, you could always open those caskets on your test account and be like, "Yay, the fake RNG for the item that I don't have."
I was very lucky to open quite a few, but I didn't get anything like Ranger Boots, so I'm actually happy. I think the best thing I got was like some Holy Sandals or Wizard Boots or something, so I wasn't mad or anything. But yeah, I would have been pretty upset if I got like Ranger Boots or a third age piece, imagine. But yeah, it's happened before with pets as well.
Just take the rest of the day off work. I think it's sad, sad enough thing, right?
Yep.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much, Bruno. All right. We've got some general questions about clues next. The first one is, we have 5 different tiers of clues, and because they were all made at different times, they work in different ways. There isn't a full consistency across all the tiers. Have we looked at addressing inconsistency in this area? For example, with the NPC behavior between different tiers of clue scrolls?
Yeah, if you think that the in-game inconsistency is big. Boy, the under the hood, how they work, consistency is humongous. Like, what are the oldest clues? There's something like 2006, 2005. So, like, you know, there's many years between like different people making different clues and different styles and different systems, and there hasn't really been anything changed with clue scrolls that has had to affect all of them until this. So we've made a system that's new, but we didn't really have enough time to also deprecate the old system. So we have them both running at the same time next to each other now. Ideally, with more time, yeah, we can get rid of all of the inconsistencies in the old way that things worked and make everything nice and you know, not surprising, and just have weird interactions between something that you would expect would be the same as something else. And hope also it's like the first step towards making just it far easier to add lots of new clues, because usually, like, I don't know, we had a handful, maybe like, I don't know, 5 or something in some content that comes out where we just say, hey, wouldn't it be neat to have some clues? And we've like only a couple of times had let's do a clue scroll expansion and, you know, add a number of things. But hopefully with everything working one way, we can have more of those times where we can just add a lot more stuff. For example, adding completely new types of clues, not just new examples in the current different types.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sova. All right. The next question we have is, will stackable clues, something I see a lot, ever be coming to Old School? They're in leagues and RuneScape 3, but is this something that players could expect to ever see in OSRS?
So this was polled ages ago, but unfortunately failed, and then made a return in leagues. So it's been a while, and you've all been using it in leagues. So I'd imagine some of you who have said, "Nah, I don't like this," have thought, actually, this is kind of convenient, kind of nice. So maybe it might pass this time.
Well, worth noting there that there aren't any current plans to repoll it, I don't believe, but it could be something that we do see in, you know, a future near misses poll or something like that. Though that said, I'm not actually sure how what the rate was in the past. But yeah, you never know. I wouldn't rule it out of a future poll. It could come back, but there's no current plans for it to be repolled just yet.
Is an interesting like discussion on like what people want to do with their clues, right? How they work is they are a distraction and diversion from doing whatever you're doing. You'll get a clue and you'll think, oh, is it worth me going and doing this right now? Yeah, I'll just change up what I'm doing. Helps to keep things fresh. But undeniably, there are also people that do just want to bang out 600 clues like in a week, and you can't really do that. You can't guarantee that you'll like get the drops in an amount of time and all that stuff. So there's value to that, like adding it, definitely. Interesting story. I did add the item into RuneScape 3 that like collects all of the clues, the carrier bag. So like I have had the discussions on like the why and the where over there. So that, you know, there's definitely like value in it. It's just based on, do enough people want it to work that way versus the other way.
Yeah, I mean, personally as a player, I'm very much in the camp that I like them being treated as a distraction from whatever it is I'm doing. You know, I'm doing the Slayer task, get a clue drop, and it's a reason to go away and take a break from the Slayer task, finish the clue and come back to it. Which I feel like, even with a sort of low cap on the number of clues that you could have, we do kind of lose that with just any number of stackable clues. Obviously that's not to say that my sort of experience and preference on it is to reflect the entire player base, but that's how I feel on it as a player, and I'm sure there are some number of others in the same camp.
I'm unsure. I quite like it the way it is, to be honest. But again, I might be in the minority, but who knows? Maybe we can get maybe one of the mods in chat can run a Twitch poll and find out what chat thinks. All right, thank you for that, guys. We've got a couple of other questions regarding the mobile client now. This one says, thanks for adding the blast furnace pipe highlighting on mobile. Helps with Iron 2 craft there. What inspired this change?
So, I mean, I suppose the simple answer to this is that third-party clients did inspire it, the way that RuneLite have their blast furnace helper. You know, we started discussing it and thinking, okay, cool, RuneLite have this blast furnace helper, and we want to implement something similar. I forget what exactly is or isn't included in their helper, but we sort of took a look at that in the first place and then said, okay, cool, we want to capture these parts of it. Is there anything we feel like is missing from it? Like I say, I'm not entirely sure whether or not the pipes were or were not highlighted by them, but it was something that we felt should be at least. So, you know, there was a lot of inspiration, if that's sort of what the question's leading towards, from RuneLite's implementation. And then just us looking at it as players and thinking, okay, cool, does this capture everything that I want here in this kind of similar vein? Or is there anything else to it as well?
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, Lenny. Right, the next question we have is, are you still planning to change the mobile UI? Are you looking to address the player feedback from the initial mobile UI blog? And I have a update from Mod Light here. She says, I'm working on an update to the mobile UI blog currently and are hoping to have the blog update in front of players within the next few weeks. We'll be addressing the major bits of player feedback that we saw the first time around, going over the survey results as a TLDR, and we will also be addressing any more feedback that comes in after the blog is updated. We welcome feedback once you've had a chance to see the updated version of the blog. So yeah, expect that to come soon. I know Modlight's been working hard on that updated version. So yeah, hopefully you'll see that very, very soon. The next question is, what are you guys working on next for the enhanced client? I'm sure many people want to know about that.
Yeah, so I believe that this answer did actually come out in the General Gazette that has just come out as well. But our sort of primary focus is now moving towards loot tools along with the mobile TLI, as we just discussed. Obviously, we've spoken plenty already about what the mobile interface change is going to entail. But the loot tools sort of batch of features we're looking at is one that we've not really spoken much about yet. The two sort of big hitters from it are ground items, or sort of, you know, the list of items that appear over a stack on the ground, and loot tracking to keep track of what you've obtained from what monsters, what sort of other sources, whether that's barrows, raids, from skilling throughout your gameplay. There's been a couple of sort of really big technical blockers to these that we've just managed to recently get around with, thanks to the engine and client team. And so it's really exciting to finally be able to get to work on these, because we know that these have been huge asks since we ever first announced that we were working on these kind of features. As Sova mentioned earlier, when we were doing a survey around the mobile open betas, it was, you know, the very most highly requested feature set that people want us to add to the client, and we're finally able to get onto it.
Awesome, thank you very much, Lenny. Yeah, no, we can't give you a date yet when these are coming, but they are being worked on, so please just bear with us. As Lenny said, we've just got over some big technical hurdles, so you know we'll be hard at work on those next bits. All right, we've got a couple of mobile questions, just general mobile questions. The first one being, I'm always prompted to use two-factor authenticator every time I log in, even when I click remember me. Is this a known issue, and what's causing this for so many mobile players?
I suppose the easy answer here is it's a bit out of our realm for those of us on the stream, so we can't talk to it very well. It is a known issue in that we keep hearing reports of it. I'm not sure how much is known about what it is that actually causes it. It's definitely sort of on our radar, but there's not a whole lot that I can say on it personally. It's not an area that any of us are especially familiar with.
Yeah, I think something that's definitely on the team's radar, but definitely something to just reiterate that I know it's probably an annoyance for a lot of players. So yeah, don't worry, we'll make sure people know. All right, the next question is in regards to new client features. Can we turn off other players' action noises such as mining, woodcutting, etc.? Sometimes when I AFK, I rely on the noises of my character. Other players doing the same activity can throw this off.
I suppose again, to take sort of short answer to it, it would be possible to change it to be a sort of player specific noise. This wouldn't be something that falls under the new client. This would just be a game wide change. It just happens that there are different sorts of noises that we have in the game. Ones that will be broadcast to a single player, and ones that will be broadcast to those in the area. And certain actions have always just been set to broadcast to those in the area, even if it might seem like a logical decision to just make it exclusive to yourself.
I like having all the noises. Makes it feel busy for me.
Yeah, maybe this could come with the ability to hide other entities like players.
Some of that would be nice, because yeah, we know the entity hider is pretty popular, or at least I'm a big fan of it. Because yeah, I don't like seeing 100 people just running around and doing something like a Wintertodd, for example. None of those people have anything good to say, so just ignore them.
Bruno wants the true solo MMO experience.
Yep.
It possibly also help with mobile battery life, maybe less stuff to render.
True.
Interesting. I didn't even think about that, Tide. So, all right. Cool. The next question we have is: can we add a warning message on Steam to the X or close window in the top right? It's a nice feature to create to avoid accidentally closing your window while playing.
Sounds like a nice feature, so you're not accidentally clicking it. Wouldn't be a priority now, though, I don't think.
Yeah, I think there are some bigger issues, but yeah, who knows? Maybe. All right, and the final one we have for mobile questions before I'll get onto a couple of chat questions. Can we see left-click reset box traps on mobile?
Don't see why not. Maybe there's something tech-wise that will make it a bit difficult, but or maybe make it toggle, because some people are probably going to prefer the left click. But I wouldn't really mind this.
Awesome. All right, cool. I'm going to throw a wild one in here, actually, not a chat question, but I know a lot of people asked about the NPC highlighters. I don't know if any of you could go into why it wasn't featured on mobile.
So I think we've kind of spoken to this a couple of times already when we've been talking about the mobile top-level interface rework. And the reason there is that there's simply not a good way to offer it on mobile right now. So people realize that on desktop, it's, you hold down a key and right-click on an NPC to be able to tag it, which you can't do on mobile unless you've got a Bluetooth keyboard or something to that effect. It just doesn't work in its current format, and what we'll need on mobile will be some kind of control options to say, yeah, I want to go into this mode where I can, in fact, highlight NPCs and highlight tiles on the ground. Because if we just had it always enabled, your mini menus are going to be very convoluted and sort of busy to look at. I know it's already a bit of a nightmare when you've got a big stack of items, and if suddenly you've got a bunch of highlight options in there as well, you're going to have way too much to try and look at. So we want these kind of control modes to be available that you can just toggle on and off at a tap to enable and disable highlighting certain entities. The problem there being that in the current sort of version of the mobile interface, we don't have a good way to offer those control modes. They're not something that we want to be buried away in the settings menu, because that's going to be incredibly frustrating to have to sort of go open your settings menu, turn on this control mode, close it, highlight a few things, go back into the settings menu, turn it off. That's the entire purpose, really, of the mobile top-level interface rework that we're proposing, and why we're so keen to push forwards with it in some form or other, which, as mentioned earlier, will be being spoken about again shortly.
Don't you guys have phones, keyboards? Yeah.
Can we move Mod Sova just for a little bit? Just
Yep.
time out. Just take time out.
Put him in the corner.
All right, awesome. I've just had a message through actually from one of the teams saying that the authenticator issue is definitely being looked at, and we might see something soon. So just keep an eye on that. We'll have more to share once we can confirm everything. Cool. I've just got a couple of questions from chat then before we head into some player created content and round off the stream. Would it be possible to save your minimap zoom level? It's annoying when you log in and it's reset.
We can do it. Currently, it's in the backlog right now. Along with a change for the zoom on mobile to maybe give you some buttons that you can press next to the minimap to zoom in and out, so you can get your desired zoom level.
Yeah, so we know that on mobile the sort of zoom option there is a little bit fiddly as it stands, and we want to offer some better control over that before we try and do much more with it. Obviously, it does work, but it's just not an ideal feature as it stands. And we think before going ahead and sort of doing things like saving it across logouts, we want better control over it in the first place.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, guys. Next question is, are we getting Skybox and maybe fog on the mobile client? Also, can we have an option to unlock zoom and viewing angle on the camera on mobile? Thanks.
So, Skybox and fog, I'm sure some people will be aware that we got some of the functionality for that quite a long while back now. The issue there becomes actually applying that to the entirety of the game and doing it right, so that you don't go over into Mauritania where it's all murky and swampy and have a lovely blue sky that doesn't fit in the slightest. We have been sort of trying to get back on top of that now and figuring out our approach to it. There's a few other things that we still need to get sort of figured out and resolved there before we can get that in people's hands. But it's something that we are sort of actually working to unlock and move forwards with. As for so unlock zoom and viewing angle, not entirely sure that I understand the second half of the the question.
Okay, maybe whoever it was in chat can
zoom in angle, so you can go like a top-down view.
I'm guessing it's like if they're looking like west, and you log in and you're no longer looking west. Is that what they mean? Maybe. Yeah. Anyways, let's get some more questions.
Yeah. Potentially, whatever you are asking in the second one, potentially. I think that's a good flat-out answer.
In chat, the same vertical camera.
Potentially, it's something that's sort of come up a couple of times, and we've never. It's never been something that we've decided. Yes, we're going to go forwards with that. We've had some back and forth on it, and just never came to the conclusion that yes, we will do it. It's still potentially on the table, but no real plans for it, if that is the case.
All right, thank you guys. All right, and the last question I have is, with regards to ground items, would there be a possibility to display your own ground items as an Iron Man? Isn't that just your own items rather than...
Yeah, so this was something that we were discussing recently, and I think there's a distinction there that it wouldn't necessarily be just your own items, but rather items that you're eligible to pick up would be the ideal scenario. So that, items that are sort of mapped down in the world will still show up in the ground items overlays. So, there is a fishing net there that you can pick up, or a pot of flour that you can pick up, whatever it may be, as well as the items that you've dropped yourself. I think it's one of the things that we still need to determine how exactly we approach it, but it is something that we're keen to incorporate there, yeah.
All right, awesome stuff. Thank you very much, guys, for answering all those questions and that great demo of the Clue Scroll Helper. If you haven't already, I'd highly recommend, especially on mobile, jumping on and checking that out because it is a fantastic addition to the C++ client. All right, to round things off, let's have a look at some player-created content, some of which were featured in the Gazette. So first up, we have the birthday scavenger hunt by J Keeley 714.
I love it. I love the idea of anyone being sent off on a treasure trail, especially like a RuneScape themed treasure trail. I do remember a couple of years ago we had somebody in the office got sent off on one for their birthday, where a number of different Jmods all scattered around had been given clues ahead of time, and this person had to literally go solve riddles, complete a challenge scroll by I think beating me in a game of pool, and whatever else they had to take on to get a present and a cake at the end of it.
I mean, if the cake is looking like that, I'd definitely be up for that because that cake looks so good. All right, the next one we have is from a generic online name, and the name of this piece is "I Can Go Home Whenever."
Very
I like
nice.
the subtlety of this one.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I like it. I like it.
It's nice. But he's
cool,
missing
yeah.
2 errors.
Maybe at a 2 or something, but that might ruin it, you know.
That depends. Do you
Just
go
a
into
little
Lumberjack or
times
going
2
home?
underneath.
Ah, that's true.
Mm.
I'm thinking the home
Wait.
teleport. Oh, the home teleport,
Let-
Lumbridge.
Let's quickly change the rune requirements.
Wow. Most
Yeah, just
devious
an easy
mods.
fix. It's fine.
Your tattoo is now wrong.
All right, the next one we have is from Umbreonist. Their clay character. Very, very cool.
Oh, that's so
I like
cool.
the level of detail on the model, how it's been painted.
That
yeah,
is
very
nice.
cool.
And the next one we have is from John Slayer 5043, and this is called "I Did a Thing."
Another cool RuneScape tattoo.
I wonder if they're saying that they did it themselves or they just generally got it. I'd be keen to know if they've tattooed that on themselves. I'd be very impressed.
That
I'm
would
unsure
be,
whether it's an arm or a leg that it's tattooed on. Like, if it was one arm, that's impressive.
Look at the shading of the robes, though.
Mm.
Also, why is he skulled? Who's been PKing?
whoever
I
he wants.
wouldn't want to go up against the wise old man. Like, you see what he done in what's the quest? The monkfish one.
In Swan Song.
Swan Song. Yeah, that guy's mad.
Exactly. He will just PK whoever he wants.
You're up Spanks.
He just does
give a
whatever he
damn.
wants. Yeah. Screw the game mechanics. He's just like, nah, I'll do what I want.
Wait, was he
We
the one
haven't
who
do
stole
will
my...
in this box.
What were you going to say, Tide?
I said, was he the one who stole my 10 mil from my bank?
Maybe. You don't want to be snitching on him, though. You don't want to be snitching. I'm just saying, wise old man will come for you. All right, the final one we have is called The Clue from Crazy Pete 3.
Very cool.
Oh no. I'm in danger.jpg.
Yeah, I want to see the aftermath of this picture. I want the part 2. All right, well, that is all we have time for today with our enhanced client stream. So thank you very much, Mods, Lenny, Bruno, Sova, and Tide for joining me. Let's go through some announcements quickly before we say goodbye. Exclamation mark game update. Get ready to clue to your heart's content with the latest update to our Steam and mobile clients, the Clue Scroll Helper. You can find out all of that information and more that came out with this game update with that command. Exclamation mark new mod. If you missed it at the start of the stream, we asked Mod Sova some new Jmod questions, or I put quote unquote new, but go and check them out on Twitter and say hello and be nice. The next one we have is !poll. We've reworked Masori Armour following your feedback. I'm happy to announce Concept B has won the poll by 63.9%. So you can see that in game when TOA launches on August 24th. And finally, Gazette. The latest Gazette is out, and we've got some more teasers for TOA, an update on quest speedrunning, and more. All right, that is everything. Is there any final words anyone wants to say before we say bye? No, I'm
Good
taking
words.
that silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, silence is golden. All right, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I'm sure we will see you again in the next one. Have a lovely weekend, and goodbye.